Activate your millionaire mindset using your head and your heart. The right mindset coupled to a super healthy body. So we're talking about getting your head, your heart, and your health in the right place for you to move forward, for you to achieve every single thing that you desire, want. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm David, Anthony David Horse, and welcome to Activate Your Millionaire Mindset. And today, my guest Hamish deals with something that all of us have a challenge with in various spaces. I'm not going to steal his thunder. So without much further ado, Hamish, please tell us who you are and tell us your story and what you do.
Hi, David. Thank you very much for having me on your podcast today. Well, I am Hamish. I am about 3 weeks shy of being sober and clean of alcohol for 6 years. Um, so my,
Congratulations.
my addiction latterly was alcohol. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Now, I'm really pleased. It's been a long journey getting sober and staying sober, but it has also been a remarkable journey. Um,
Beautiful.
I think looking back, alcohol was always a part of my life. It just was part of growing up in the 80s. As a kid, 11, 12, would have a glass of watered down wine for lunch on a Sunday, and it just became part of life.
Yeah.
16, 17, going to the pub with school friends. Drinking made me feel capable, able to talk to girls, be funny and all that kind of stuff. So it was just a part of my life, and I didn't realize that it would be a crutch. I didn't realize that it would be something that I would lean on more and more and more throughout my life as I tried to make sense of being an adult. Um, yeah, and it's just one of those things. It kept me going. It made sense. It helped me make sense of things. It helped me get rid of those fears around not being worthy, about not understanding things, about beliefs from childhood that didn't align to who Hamish was. Alcohol was great. It just sort of hid them. I hid behind them. It hid them. It made them um, irrelevant. But I didn't actually realize that the alcohol was actually doing me a great deal of damage. It was stopping me from being who I really could be because I wasn't dealing with stuff. So I think
I love what
that
you're
was my
saying.
addiction. It was,
Sorry to interrupt you, Hamish. I just love what you're saying there because what you are talking about there, I think so many people can relate to what you're saying. It just smooths the edges of life, doesn't it?
yeah,
Until
very
it
much.
until it doesn't smooth the edges, and then it actually makes them extremely ragged and extremely sharp. Please carry on. I love your story.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I think I have a slightly alternative view of addiction. I think anybody who has got an addiction is a superhero because we have found a way to make sense of life because life's not easy. Um, and my addiction, the addiction was a coping strategy that worked. It helped me to
Right.
make sense of stuff. It helped me to overcome things I couldn't deal with. And to my mind, that made me a hero. I know people who couldn't cope with life and they went mad or they committed suicide or they got to such a dark place they damaged themselves irreparably. So I see addiction as a hero mechanism that fails. It is a crutch. It is a wooden crutch that over time fills with woodworm and snaps.
Right.
It's not healthy, but it keeps you alive. Food, gambling, alcohol, sex, drugs doesn't matter. They are coping strategies that you found to make sense of life. However, you actually have to deal with life properly. You can't just hide behind stuff. So the crutch breaks, and then you have to get real. You have to deal with the pain, the
Yeah.
suffering, why you couldn't deal with it. And all these things actually are, they're not near as scary as you think they are because they're all in your head. You know, I do this because what happens if all this stuff, it's all nonsense.
Yeah.
It's all, you can deal with it when you have to, but it's scary. A bit that is difficult. It is scary to deal with life.
I love the way you put that, Hamish. That is such a beautiful way to put it because a lot of people with any addiction, and I like that you cover all of them, look at it and say, and I'm a failure. No, they're not. The Interestingly enough, one of my students in the month of October, I went with him to four AA meetings. I supported him for four AA meetings. And it was, Hamish, it was such an education for me. Wow. Look, I've got an addiction. My addiction is chocolate and sugar. And it kind of put it in perspective. So I love it. Please continue, Hamish.
Well, I think as well, it's the addiction side is, as I said, it is a coping strategy.
Right.
It's nothing more than that. It is just a strategy for making sense. Um, where it fails is that you rely on it too much. And, when you rely on anything too much, it's not going to allow you to be authentically yourself. You're using it as I said, as a crutch, as a way of not dealing with what you really need to.
Mm.
When I got to that place, I actually realized I was living in South Africa at the time. So I was living in just outside of Cape Town,
Wow.
and I would
My home
not drink.
country.
Your home country, absolutely. Yeah, I have
Beautiful.
a lot of fond memories of living there.
Beautiful.
But the addiction was incredibly destructive. I was driving drunk. For those of you who don't know Cape Town, it's a beautiful city, and you drive out of Cape Town over a flyover. So you're driving over part of the city. You've got Table Mountain to one side, and you've got the sea to the other. And I would be going up the off ramp, and I would have a bottle of beer in between my knees. I'd be cracking it open with a 5 rand coin, which is small, not a bottle opener because you couldn't have a bottle opener in the car. I mean, this painful logic.
Oh,
And then I'd get about 2 kilometers out of Cape Town, and I'd be drinking a beer,
oh,
which was stupid to be blunt. But that's what I was doing. I was just driving drunk, and I would get off 5 miles up the road. I'd be throwing the empty bottles out of the window, and then cracking open another one.
wow.
And as I look back at that now, I realize I was actually trying to get help. I didn't know what to do. I knew I was in a pickle. I knew I was in a mess, and I was saying, I need help. Anybody, police, somebody, have an accident, somebody please help me, because I didn't have the courage to say I need help. So I was doing it that way. I was being
Hamish,
incredibly foolish.
can I interrupt you there because you are saying something so powerful, and it's not just in addiction, it's in life. When people are crying out for help, and it was your way of saying help, and what you're saying is so powerful because you say, I didn't have a mechanism to ask it, or maybe as a male, or maybe as whatever emotion you want to put there. You didn't know how to literally say, guys, help me. And that leads into literally your story and what you do. So please continue. Beautiful.
Yeah, it absolutely. I didn't know how to do it, and there was so much shame. There was so much guilt. There was so much. Well, I shouldn't be. I should be better than this. I should be better than this. I shouldn't have to do this. I should be able to cope. All
Mm,
this stuff, and it's kind of self-perpetuating. So you drink to numb that shame. So you drink to avoid having to think about how stupid, how dangerous, how everything it is.
right.
And that's what it got to. And fortunately, I actually had this moment of sanity, clarity, where I thought, if I don't do something, I'm going to kill myself or kill somebody else.
Yeah.
Or worse still, get arrested on a Friday evening and have to spend a weekend in a South African jail.
Not good.
Um, and I asked somebody who I didn't know very well, who didn't know my friends, yeah, just somebody I didn't know. And I just asked, said, hey, I think I've got a problem. And when you actually put your hand up and say, I need help, something magical happens. This guy said, yeah, sounds like it. He said, don't worry, I went to rehab 15 years ago. And there was no judgment, David. There was
Yeah.
no judgment. There was no, what the hell you were throwing bottles? What the hell you were driving drunk? I said, yeah, I've done that. Yeah, I was driving drunk at 2 in the morning and drove over a metal post and it crashed my car and I was blind drunk, la la la. He said, yeah, I've done it.
Wow.
And I wasn't shamed. I wasn't judged. And he said, yeah, let's go and look for rehab. So 3 weeks later, I was in a rehab because somebody I actually asked said, yeah, I can help.
You know,
Um,
that is that is very interesting what you're saying because I noticed that as well when I went to the AA meetings. The alcoholics were literally saying exactly that shame, and they are I don't know what correct adjective to use. And look, the South African, the English language has got no shortage of adjectives, but it's that I don't know what it is that the alcoholic or the drug addict or whatever is very shameful to
yep.
actually ask their loved ones and say, I've got a problem, please help. There's the fact that you actually went to a stranger and you didn't want to go to your friends. It's a very interesting psychological thing where your friends are more than likely saying, I'd love to help you. But that
Yep.
space in your head is saying, I'm ashamed or embarrassed to actually go to my friends and say, I love that expression, Houston, we have a problem, you know.
Hmm.
I
Yep.
love it. I love it. Please carry on.
But going back to that's the insanity. It is ridiculous because I don't know anybody who would say, you're a drunk, you're a fool, you're an idiot. There's no chance. There's no way am I going to help you. Nobody would do that. Your
Sure,
friends wouldn't. Your
sure.
loved ones wouldn't. Even if you had been stealing from them and doing this and been despicable, they would say about bloody time too.
Yeah,
Let's see what
exactly.
we.
Exactly.
Let,
Thank you, Lord, that you've actually seen it now. Let's take it to AA. And my take on AA, it is the most incredible organization and people and structure. I love it. Please carry on.
Well, that's where it goes back to. That's why I say you're a hero. I usually put the word fucking in front of it, but you're a hero for
Sure.
finding a way to cope.
Yeah.
Um, there's no shame in it. You found a way to thrive. You didn't commit suicide. You didn't self-harm. You didn't
Sure.
destroy your life. You didn't die. Whatever. You found a way to say, I am going to live at
Right.
every single cost. But that cost is, it gets smaller. By the time I had two choices left, live or die, um, it came down to that. I basically, every other opportunity to survive went. I had two choices. I either ask for help or I die. And it's as simple as that. It came down to that binary choice. And that's when I stopped going, well, what if, what will they think? What will they think? I stopped
Hamish,
shaming myself.
can I ask you a question there? Because that
Yeah.
what you said is very profound. Does
Mm.
the addict, and I'm not going to say the alcoholic because we're talking addicts, does the addict
Mm.
have to get to that space in their head where they literally say binary option, live or die? Does it really have to get to that point?
I would love to say no. I would love to be able to say, I drink too much. I've had a hangover for 4 days in a row. I would love to say, you know, have that awareness and go, this is not working. Some people do. Some people are able to go, I'm actually not being very clever here. But
Right.
I think most people have to get to some form of rock bottom. Um,
Wow.
and I don't think, I know for me, my rock bottom wasn't the same as other people's. I wasn't homeless. I hadn't lost everything. So
Right.
your own rock bottom is not compared to anybody else's. And it
That's
could be
individual.
going back. Absolutely. And it could be as simple as that. Somebody's rock bottom is, I've had 5 hangovers in a week. I've woken up cold and sweaty and hot and sweaty and things like that. And this isn't good. That could be their rock bottom, and that's brilliant. And I think that level of awareness is remarkable. And I think if you can catch yourself then, you're not going to have so much damage.
Right.
Um,
Right.
I lost my wife, my dog, my house, my home, my business, my clients, my continent. I had to leave South Africa. Um, whether
Oh,
any of that would have
what
been
did
different
you
if I'd realized.
Your addiction
beforehand.
got to
Sorry,
the
David.
point that you had to change physical locations.
Well, I had to choose a physical location because of my circumstances. I had never set up my visa to be a permanent resident in South Africa for whatever reason.
Ah,
Um,
that was the universe.
I think so too. Yes. But it was coming to that binary choice for me, that rock bottom where I had to make a choice, and that was where I had that clarity. I wasn't thinking about anybody else. I wasn't
Well
thinking,
done.
what will they think if they find out? I was just like, I want to live.
Right.
Hamish wants to live, and that is why I said to this friend, great friend of mine now, I've got a problem, and that's why he said, yeah, sounds like it. Let's go and find a rehab. And
Wow,
with
that's God. I mean, that is God literally putting that person in your life. I think about it. The person you reached out to was in the exact same space where you were.
yeah,
No judgment. Hey, I've walked that path as well. Let's walk it together. Take my
yeah.
hand. Let's walk down this path together. Beautiful.
Mm. Yeah, and that is it. There is that beauty. We don't live in a world that we think it is. There is when you ask for help and you need it, you will get the help you need. When you stop beating yourself up, you realize that was just a waste of time. But we're in our heads too much, and we think that other people are going to judge us for this and that, and we think all sorts of stuff, which is utterly mad. But that's what we do
So,
because we
Hamish,
have.
here's my question to you. How do
Mm,
we break that, whatever you want to call it, that bullshit in our heads
mhm,
that the person puts their hand up and says, help? Because when you say help, the universe, God, Allah, Krishna, Buddha, whoever you believe in, will hear you and they will rally their troops around you because you put your hand, you've had the balls to put your hand up and say, I need help. How do we
mm.
how do we get that mindset in that person to actually get to that space? Maybe it's unfair asking you
Rock.
that.
Rock bottom. You have to make a choice. That's what rock bottom is. That rock bottom is when the universe is saying, dude, I have given you all the choices. You now got to make your own decision. Um, so
Oh,
it's
Hamish,
that
that's
we are
brutal.
afraid because of what other people.
That's brutal. Sorry to interrupt you there. That is brutal because I was actually talking to one of my students this morning, and his neighbor is in that space where he's
Yeah,
literally locked himself, well, closed himself in his lounge and he's drinking himself stupid.
yeah,
And as the friend and the neighbor, that's why I say it's brutal because the loved
mm,
ones and the people that know you have literally got to watch you self-destruct to the point where you get to that point and say, enough, help,
yeah,
help, help. Wow.
yeah. Or you don't.
Wow.
You drink yourself to death. You put yourself in hospital. You get liver cirrhosis. You die. It's as simple as that. It's a
Binary, live
choice.
or die. Wow.
Yeah, it is. And unfortunately, that is the problem with addiction. That's why I say anybody who's got an addiction and can get out of it is a superhero because that addiction is the coping strategy. And case in point, that fellow you're talking about, he doesn't have that capacity or clarity yet. And God willing, he does before he destroys himself. Um,
We, as the spectators, um, do something? Is there anything that a loved one, a family member, a friend can do to step into short circuit that process?
get help. I think that's the only thing. You've got things like Al-Anon, talk to people. You as the loved one don't have the capacity to understand that you can do very little.
Sure.
You've got a sick child, you take it to hospital. The person is the sick child, but they don't necessarily want to go to hospital. So
Right.
you have to love them. You have to stop putting any of your own interest in there. So let's say it's your child. You can't do more than love them. You can't try and shake them or kick them or blackmail them or shame them they've done all that to themselves. They are so
Right,
much better at it than you are.
right,
All you can do is love them and then just say, you will not be abusive to me in my house.
right.
My house is safe for you, but if you're going to be drunk in my house, these are the rules. And if you're going to steal from me, if you're going to be foul, if you're going to be violent, get out. I cannot deal with it because they will drag you down. Um, they will drag you down. They will make you hate yourself. They will make you hate everything because the state that they are in is just so pervasive and so toxic. Um, so
It's
you have to go and
interesting
get
what you
yourself
say
help.
there, Hamish. That's really interesting what you're saying there. That the addict, let's call them the addict, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is in that space where they will pull their loved ones down with them, unless
Yep.
the loved ones actually set those boundaries. And I call that tough love.
Yeah, tough love. You've got to be really careful because a lot of people think of tough love as, too bad, so sad. It
Yeah,
is tough love, but you have to respect yourself and you have to be prepared to let them go because they're on their own journey, they're on their own path. And the biggest problem I see is that we are so invested in other people for all sorts of reasons, and there's no bad thing
right.
that we try and rescue, we try and help, we try this, we try that, nothing works, so we do the next one and the next one. And groups like Al-Anon will, they've lived it for 100 years. They've had millions of people who've had addicted
Sure,
partners, loved ones, children,
sure.
whatever, and they will support you and just say you can live like that. You have to just let them be and be a light, be a beacon, so they hopefully can one day go, well, I made a mess of my life. I'm really sorry. Can you help me? But you cannot help them. Intervention, sending someone off to rehab doesn't work 99% of the time because that person doesn't want to be there. So they just play the game and go home and get drunk, get high, eat, do the chocolate thing,
Yeah,
gamble, whatever.
yeah.
Um,
I've heard that number. You're 100% right. They say, look, it depends on who you talk to. It's 99 or 98% of people who go to rehab who are sent there by family members or the boss or the company
mm,
doesn't stick. You've got to be
no,
there because you want to be there, nobody else.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I love the way Alcoholics Anonymous puts it. It is so beautiful and so powerful. The only reason you need to be here at Alcoholics Anonymous is when you want to stop drinking. And I love the next statement that they say only for today, not
mm,
tomorrow, not next week, not next month,
yeah,
just for today. And Hamish, in just our world, in the rest of the space, that is so powerful for all of us to just say, let's just get it right for today. Tomorrow is
yep,
tomorrow. Yesterday I
mm,
can do nothing about, but let me just get it right for today. And that those 12 steps, which I didn't realize, Hamish, four
mm,
of the 12 steps actually mention by name God.
yep.
So powerful. So
Mm.
powerful. Please carry on. I'm loving this
Yeah,
conversation.
well, thank you for allowing me to be here. I think it is an important conversation. Um, it is important from the perspective of the person struggling with the addiction, and very much for those around them, because one person in the addiction will have 10, 15, 20 people running around, and it gets to the stage because of that toxicity. It's just like, well, they're going to give me money. I don't have any money for this. Here's 10 quid. Here's 50 rand. Here's 100
Yeah,
pounds, whatever.
yeah,
They're going to use it. They're going to use it. They're going to use it because that's all that matters. All that matters is numbing that pain.
yeah,
Um, and the problem is, alcohol is addictive, food is addictive,
sure.
sex, drugs, you name it, they all are. So the body requires it. It's not just a mental thing. The body physically requires chemically.
Yeah,
And then you get that state of numb. And it is delicious. I mean, I would love to get completely pissed and blotto and forget about everything. However, I know how bloody hard it is to get out of that state, so I'm not going to do it.
correct.
Um, so, that's another topic for a few minutes' time. But so easy. My body knows what alcohol does. My body knows what drugs do.
Right.
I know that, three chocolate biscuits will just take that edge, that anxiety off, and just stop me trying to remember what I'm trying to do. It
Sure.
just takes that edge away, and I forget what I'm doing. That thing I need to be doing or want to be doing has been dissolved by the sugar, by
Correct.
the alcohol, because it's what it does. It's the body is in that jitter, and then it goes, "Cool, I'm fine now. I've got this fix."
Yeah.
But it's external. It's temporary. It's never going to be enough. The only way you're going to be enough is just to say, "I can't do this externally. I've got to start loving myself. I've got to start believing that I'm going to be okay." And that's hard because you've shamed yourself, you've guilted yourself, you've stolen from your family, you've beat somebody up, you've driven drunk, you've got a DUI, you've got all this kind of stuff in the past, and you
All
live in
the,
the past.
yeah.
And, when you're living in that past, you're just compounding that shame. You're just
Yeah.
making it, oh, I did this, God, I'm an idiot. Oh, God, I did that, I did that. I'll have a drink and forget about it. You just got to grow a pair, put your big granny pants on,
Yeah.
whatever the expression want, and go, yeah, I'm going to have to feel all this. I'm going to have to look at that. Going back to you were doing the best that you can. Going back to don't shame yourself. You kept yourself alive.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it's so important to realize that your addiction kept you alive. Yes, it's dangerous.
Mhm.
You can't shame yourself. You were doing the best. What was more frightening for me than being drunk was being caught with the empties at home, hence throwing the bottles out of the window as I was driving. Um, that was my best because I was keeping myself safe. I had to look at that and I
Right.
had to look at why I was doing it and deal with the stuff, have the conversations, say to my partner things aren't working, say to my friends I can't cope with this, say
Yeah.
to whatever I need help. Um, and as I said that, I got the help I needed. I realized that all those scary conversations I was too frightened to have, they weren't going to kill me. Yeah, there were consequences. Yeah, I said I lost my house, my wife, my dog, my home. Um, I'm doing all right now, and it's they seem insurmountable until you look at them with fresh eyes, and you can't do that drunk. You can't do that high. You can't do that with 16 grams of chocolate in your body, all that stuff running around your system. You have to be stone cold sober and be prepared to be uncomfortable and then not shame yourself. And it's difficult because we do, but you have to get uncomfortable. You
Yeah.
have to choose life.
I love what you're saying there. You need to step into that demon's den, and you need to face it. You have to face your demons.
Yeah. And your
So
demons are trying to help you. Your demons are not there to eat you, kill you, spit you out. They're actually saying, "Hey, if you're going to drink yourself to death, it's going to be tough." They're saying, "Look, is another way." Yes, it's scary. It
sure.
is scary. It was horrifying. I cried for 3 weeks in rehab. Um, but that was as much relief as anything else because I'd actually let go. I'd stopped hanging on to everything that I thought was frightening me.
Yeah.
Um, you have to take your own agency back and your own autonomy back. And I think it's things like that. It's being willing to change and just say I can't do it anymore. I don't want to die,
I,
and
I
stuff will
love
start to
this.
happen.
I
Mm.
love this, Hamish. And as we're getting sort of nearer to the end here, please tell us what you do and how you can help people who are struggling with any addiction. Because that's the reason I'm actually talking to you, because I love your story, and it's not just a story, because you have a system and a mechanism to help those of us that have an addiction. Correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do. Well, the easiest thing is you can find me on social media, hamishniven.com. Um, Hamish Niven pretty much anywhere on all the platforms. But it starts with a question and just looking at what you are doing,
Mm-hmm.
feeling, and then getting curious. I can't help you. I can shine a light on your feet so you know where things are. I can't make you change.
Right.
Um, all I can do is listen and throw questions and share my experiences, because that's really all it is. It's one's own choice to change. But
Right.
I make a safe space for people to do that. There's curiosity. Why did that happen? And we've all got that capacity to change, and it's just beginning to believe in yourself a little bit. So I listen to people, I chat to people, and it's completely non-judgmental. I think that's probably the best way to say it. It's a non-judgmental, safe space where you can just pour it all out, and I'll probably laugh at you and with you, and then you'll realize, Jesus, that was ridiculous. What a muppet I was. And when you start to look at it from a gentle perspective rather than shaming yourself, you just realize that it was pointless
Yeah.
and ineffectual, and you look at life from a different perspective. And when you do that, everything changes. And I think that's probably the key, that be prepared to look at life slightly differently.
And you're literally saying to the person, you're not alone. You might think you're alone and you're hiding this and you're keeping it from your people and your work colleagues and your loved ones. You're not. You're not alone in the struggle, which is very important.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not alone. And the biggest ego killer is everyone else has done it before. You're not the first person to drive drunk. You're not the first person to get a DUI. You're not the first person to beat your partner when you're drunk. You're not the first person to do any of these things. There's 6 billion people in the world, and 4 billion have died in the past. So some of them have done what you've done, and some of them have done an awful lot worse. So, there's also a measure of arrogance to think that you're the only person who's done that. And that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Nothing really matters, because now you can change.
I-
You've got a new day, a new awareness. As you said, one day at a time. It's just that. Today,
I-
Hamish has got a bit more wisdom than yesterday. Today, the person who's come to me has woken up one day more sober, and they feel slightly better than they did yesterday. So there's no comparison with yesterday. So let's change.
Beautiful. In conclusion, I just have one question for you. How has your mindset helped or hindered you in where you've got to today?
I have had to get really curious and listen to myself. And
Mhm.
so I've created a morning routine. So you can argue that is a mindset change. I have to be curious. I have to be a little bit more aware about myself, and the mindset change has been to respect myself a bit more and be aware of how I do things and why I do things. I cannot be unconscious the whole time, because I know alcohol will fix a problem temporarily. It's a
Sure.
plaster.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so the mindset change is looking out for myself, putting myself first. We were not going to argue about being selfish, because that's just nonsense. Loving myself a little bit more. And I don't have to mean, love myself a lot. It's just like a tiny bit of self-respect. And it's
Right,
that, just a little bit more every day.
right. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Hamish. This has been a beautiful conversation. Please send me your links that people can get hold of you, and I will send you the link as well that you can put it out to all your social media. And I will leave you with this. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay blessed, and most importantly, be the light. Cheers, Hamish.
Thank you very much, David. Thanks so much for letting me be on your show today.
Cheers. Bye. When you like what you've seen or heard and it's brought value to your life, please like, comment, subscribe, whatever platform you're on, or subscribe, like, comment, whichever it is. Please do one of the three, or ideally all three. Peace be with you.